Hey guys! Well, I've got some good data for y'all. Today I wanted to talk about how much YouTube paid me for my first month that I was monetized. I love these videos. They were my favorite things starting out to see YouTubers, especially YouTubers with small followings, share their background, how their channel grew, and most importantly, how much they ended up making once they qualified for the AdSense program through the YouTube Partnership Program. So one thing I want to say before we dive into all the numbers and of course how much I made is I want to make sure that you know that everyone's YouTube journey is different. And I know that better than anyone else because I had a very unique journey in that I have not one, but two YouTube channels that were monetized within a short time of each other. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about this channel, Page Turner, which is my personal channel and also is a place where I've been talking a lot about content creation and tips for people who want to have businesses online because that is what I do. So I'm relatively new to YouTube, having started here about a year ago on my first channel, which I will also talk about a little bit. This is my second channel, but I am not new to making money online. I've been making my living for over 7 years through a variety of media. I started out as a writer. I have a bunch of books out. I have various other social media presences, different brands, even have done some e-commerce in a business I started with some friends of mine. I am busy, I have my hands in many pies, but YouTube was very new to me and it's also something that happened organically for me. So I will absolutely get into how much I made, but I always liked hearing people's backgrounds and information about how a channel grew before it got there because I found that very interesting and inspirational when I was in the early stages of building something. So basically the background here for me and my organic jump into YouTube is that I never thought I was going to be somebody that did video. I was very camera shy when I started, believe it or not. I like talking to people in person. This was hard for me to get used to. I had no experience in video editing. I had to teach myself everything I know. And the only reason I did this is because I was going on a trip with my husband across the country in an RV. We had gotten an RV, we were planning on living in it. We at the time had moved around a couple places cross country. He had gotten a job. We had made the leap from Ohio to Dallas, where we had no safety net, no social support, no existing friend base. And during the pandemic and everything, his job went full remote. My job has been remote for years and years because I work online. And at a certain point, we were living in a very expensive part of Dallas and we didn't have deep roots there. We had a few friends that we'd met since we'd moved there, but you know, there's nothing really tying us to the area. And it occurred to us that we could move and live anywhere we wanted to because we were remote, but we didn't want to move to the wrong spot, move to a place that wasn't right for us. So we got in this idea that we'd like to take a trip, and I'll go more into how that all sort of shook out in my other video that I do on my first channel, but essentially we were traveling the country in an RV, trying to figure out where we wanted to live, where we wanted to either build a house or buy a house. And we did that for about 2 years. And frankly, just the amount of new experiences we had while doing that made me want to document it, even just to have videos for our family, to have memories from the trip we took. And it made sense because I already made my living online. I already had social media going. I was already always doing that kind of work anyway, to learn photography, video editing, and YouTube. And so like that, my first channel, Our Moving Castle, was born. It took me something like 6 months when we first started out to get comfortable with filming and editing and getting stuff up. You know, so the first 6 months or so of the trip, I have some cell phone videos and stuff like that, but I wasn't posting regularly. And then it was in November of 2023 that I posted my first video to my first YouTube channel. And I think it was just a couple months into the channel, I had been talking to one of my friends. This is somebody I talk to a lot about business that I mentor. And I was giving her a pep talk and chatting about things like I always do. And she was like, you know, Paige, you should really put your pep talks online on YouTube. I was like, I don't know about that. She's like, no, seriously, I could listen to you talk all day. You're so funny. You're so good at this. It's such useful stuff. She pointed out that I used to teach at Dallas Makerspace when I lived there for 5 years. I did a really popular class called Social Media for Creative People, and I led a group for entrepreneurs there. And so I was doing a lot of that work already, and I was reluctant at first. It was in January. I was chatting with my friend. So if you look at my YouTube channel. It says I joined January 11th, 2024. I didn't start posting videos then. What I did when I joined was I basically set up the YouTube page, you know, put up my profile, my background image, you know, like my banner, an about me, got a short link, and I said, okay, that's it. And then I started a brainstorming document about different videos I could do. So that was January 11th that I had put that in there. Meanwhile, I'm still posting on our moving castle and I'm working really hard to get that channel built and growing and monetized. But it wasn't until 4 months later on May 16th that I posted my first video. So why did I wait 4 months? That's an excellent question. Well, I had some barriers involved. One big psychological barrier I had was I was still traveling around in an RV with my husband. And I remember saying to my friend, all these personal channels that do really well, the how-to channels especially, the how to do business, how to do YouTube, they all take place in really high production environments. They have, you know, glowing backgrounds, or at least a green screen. They have set desks that are gorgeous. I was in a 32-foot RV, and I was living there with my husband and my cat. And when I was shooting in the RV, I was either at my little dinette table or in the couch. You know, there's never a clean set. You could always see kind of other RVs around me. It was difficult with the takes because my husband, he'd be working and he would talk because he'd have meetings. It was very difficult to shoot inside. My other option really was to go and shoot outside in the RV park, which was great for the natural lighting, and it was very dynamic, but it was very hectic. And I was doing it already for the RV channel. You know, I had our travel channels, the inside of the RV park, but that made sense. That was in the niche. It seemed like if I made my videos and I didn't look the same as these other people that were doing this work in the niche, if I didn't have, you know, the big play buttons and the big green screen and all that, that there's no way that I could grow. Which, you know, in hindsight, that's not true. So it was 4 months before I ever put out a video. And it's really funny because my first video was not on content creation whatsoever. Like a lot of my early videos on this channel, I shot it right next to my RV. Actually, at the end of the video, somebody comes in a bus and parks right next to us, and you can see the bus kind of coming into the shot. It's really funny, actually. But it was very well timed. It was a long story, and they came in right at the end, which was good. I got through my story. But yeah, it was this video called I Got Fired, The Warning Signs I Missed. And is almost a half an hour long. It's just me kind of chatting and telling stories about living in Cleveland and this really crazy place I used to work, which, you know, I recommend it if you're interested. It's very classic story time by me. I actually really love doing them. I have a whole playlist of story times, and for the most part, I've been doing mostly content creator work on this channel, and it seems to do a lot better. There's a lot bigger demand for it, understandably. But every so often, I let myself have a miscellaneous video, and just with the knowledge that those aren't going to do well. That's kind of a long-term versus short-term growth strategy. So, but yeah, that was the first video. That's what kind of set everything off. May 16th is the date that I did my first video. And since then, I have posted every single week and sometimes more than that. So that's the time frame we're talking about. Okay, let me open up my stats, and I'll kind of give it to you month by month. I went through and I scraped a lot of this and got it nice and organized for you, to give you an idea of how things worked. So May was my first month, and as I mentioned, it was the 16th, so I was only posting videos for about half that month. And I posted the I Got Fired video. I posted another video called I'm a Best-Selling Author, named Paige Turner, which is an answer to one of the most frequently asked questions I get as a writer, which is Paige Turner your real name? It's the long story. And then the third video I put out is one called How to Grow an Audience with 0 Subscribers. And looking at it now, I've actually got a good number of views on it. It's become very popular. At the time, it did so-so. It didn't do that great, although it was the best performing video on my channel at that time. So those are the 3 videos that I posted for that month. And I received in May 24 subs. I went from 0 to 24, and I didn't do so completely organically. So I had a whole bunch of other social media, you know, my author stuff, my other brands, and I actually cross-promoted with my personal networks and everything else, and I only got 24 subs. Now, fantastic. Really happy to have the 24 subs. I was really glad it wasn't at 0, but that just goes to show you that organic discovery is usually the way to go on YouTube. And actually, my breakout story I've talked about a little bit kind of confirms that. But at that point, I had 70.1 watch hours. A lot of you might know this, but for those who don't, in order to qualify for the AdSense monetization on YouTube, where YouTube will display ads on your videos and you will get paid for views, you need to reach 2 different requirements. The first is 1,000 subs, and the second is 4,000 watch hours within the last 365 days. So what does that last 365 days mean? That just means that when they look at how many watch hours you have to qualify for this, they will only consider the last 365 days. So let's say you have 1,000 watch hours from 3 years ago when you tried to start your YouTube channel and then you got distracted or decided it wasn't for you. Those are gone. But another thing to bear in mind, it is a 365-day rolling total. So on the 366th day, day 1 doesn't count anymore. It isn't like it throws away the whole year. It isn't like a year-to-year thing. So pros and cons, pros and cons. But yeah, that 4,000 watch hours has to happen over a 1-year span, essentially. So both things are important, getting to 1,000 subs and getting to the 4,000 watch hours. Okay, so we'll look at May, given that. All right, so in May, I got 24 subs, went from 0 to 24, and I got 70.1 watch hours. And as far as watch hours go, this means that I was at 1.7% of the watch hours I needed, which is not good. Think of it this way. So to stay on pace, you have to get these watch hours over 12 months. So take 100 and divide it by 12, and you need to get 8.3% of the watch hour total every month. Or, to put it another way, you need to get 334 watch hours per month. 4,000 divided by 12 calendar months is 333.3333. So I say 334. Okay, so that first month, I had only gotten 70.1. So I needed to be like 4 or 5 times faster than I was. Now, in my defense, it was only half the month, but you know, still slow start. But okay, fine, whatever, fine. I'm still kind of finding my pace. All right, June was a slightly different story. I did 4 videos in June. Why small channels struggle to grow and big ones don't. The biggest lie YouTube coaches tell. How to vlog in public without fear. And why so many YouTubers quit just before hitting it big. So at this point, I started focusing and niching down on the content creator videos because I found that even though my 3rd video on how to grow a channel from 0 subscribers wasn't like a huge hit, it was the best of the 3 I'd put out so far. So I did 1 of those a week. And June was cool because the top video of the month was something called The Biggest Lie YouTube Coaches Tell, which was also the channel's first hit. It blew up. It was really funny actually because I put that video out. I basically had scheduled it and then my cat passed away, sadly. And so I didn't do any external promotion on any other of my social media. I basically closed YouTube and I forgot it existed for a week. And then on day 8, my phone was blowing up. I was getting all these messages about comments on The Biggest Lie. And I went to the app and I saw that I had a huge amount of views for me on the channel at that time, which maybe that's not a lot to a lot of other people, but to me that was huge at the time. That was a breakout hit. I had thousands of views. And in that video, I had discovered a weird thing in the analytics tab and I was kind of diving in and showing people. It was pretty simple, it was pretty organic. It's something that I might say off the cuff to one of my friends. I just made a video and that one blew up. I was pretty excited about that. So I got in June, I gained another 179 subs to put my total to 203. I had 258.6 watch hours, which brought my total watch hours so far to 328.7. I had gone from 70 watch hours to 258, huge jump. However, if you remember, the pace I need to meet is 334 watch hours per month. So even though I had nearly quadrupled my watch hours, I was still slower than I needed to achieve monetization in 12 months. And my average view duration in May had been 414. It went down to 311. I lost nearly a whole minute. Part of that is because The Biggest Lie is a shorter video. But I was pretty pleased. I was like, okay, traction, you know, and I had a couple hundred subscribers. I went from 24 to 203. I'm like, okay, I can do this. This is traction. So even though I wasn't on pace, I saw those early signs of traction. And then in July is when things really started to pick up. So in July, I got 1,238.8 watch hours. And I picked up 601 subs, bringing my total to 804. This brought my total watch hours so far to 1,567.5. And now my watch hours were 39.2% of the goal, which was a 31% gain in watch hours in 1 month, which means I was way over pace for the month. Because as you recall, I need 8.3 of the total every month. I had 31%. I was over 3 times as fast as I needed to be to get there within 12 months. And the nice thing about that was that not only did I make my quota for the month, so to speak, it made up for the slow start of the first 2 months. Now I like looking at what I did that month. So it looks like the best video that month was an episode called YouTube Advice I Wish I Would Have Ignored. So again, it's that content creator work. It was coming in clutch for me. And kind of that suspicion. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And my average view duration was 329, so it was kind of in between the first 2 months. It wasn't as long as the very first month when I had long videos that people weren't watching all of. It wasn't as short as the second month where I had short videos that people were watching more of. This was kind of in between because I think my video length went up a little bit too. All right. So then in August, I had not quite as good of a month, but I had another good month. It wasn't as explosive as July for me. And in August, I got 962.2 watch hours. I got another 219 subs, which brought me over 1,000 subs, brought me up to 1023. So basically I hit 1K subs August 26, 2024, but I had to wait on watch hours. At the end of August, I only had 29.7. However, I did have a gain of 24% of my watch hours total, which was way over pace. And my average view duration was now up to 418. It's the highest I had been so far. I was lengthening my videos because I was seeing I was getting subscribers, but I needed the watch hours. So I was tackling some more in-depth topics, trying to get into that, mixing them in with the shorter takes. The top video of August was an episode called Scammers Hit Me After My Channel Grew. And this was a very fun, organic thing. It was very similar. I think I was just showing some of my friends some of the weird emails I've been getting because my YouTube channels were growing and talking to them about how it was a good sign for growth and just sort of laughing about it. And one of them was like, you should do an episode. This is fascinating. So voila. All right, so in September, I needed an additional nearly 1,500 watch hours to qualify for AdSense. In September, I unfortunately got 1,300, so I still needed a couple hundred more watch hours by the end of September. I also got another 324 subscribers, so I was well over 1,000 subscribers, but still working on it in September. In September, my most popular video was one called Why Most YouTubers Quit After 6 Months. That one was really fun for me to make because I got to kind of combine the content creator business stuff with psychological research, which is when I get very happy when I can talk about the psychology from either the viewer perspective or the creator perspective, because I think both really matter. So that did very well. But I was still a couple hundred watch hours shy of AdSense. So something fun is that I actually have the weeks that I hit different milestones. It was the week of August 25th that I hit 1,000 subscribers. And it wasn't until the middle of October, a few weeks later, that I started making money on YouTube through AdSense. So funny thing that happened to me was I wasn't able to start earning right away. And this might happen to you. When I was applying, AdSense was basically changing the way it did things, but it can be very rigorous to get your AdSense verified and to get your account set up, especially if you've had one in the past. In my case, I hadn't had an AdSense set up myself, but my husband had one that was set up for one of our websites way back in the day. I don't even think he ended up using it. Unfortunately, because my YouTube is on some kind of Google account family plan with him, it was linked to me. AdSense really only wants you to have one account at a time. So for us, there's this laborious process of canceling old ones, starting a new one, reconfirming. And YouTube also has a lockout where it only lets you change your AdSense every so often. So it took a couple of weeks for us, even though we started the process early, even though we knew it was going to be an issue. So whatever. My first money started coming in the middle to the end of October. So my first full month on AdSense on Page Turner is November. So I will show you what that looked like. November 2024. And this is a very interesting situation. Let's go to revenue. Okay. So one of the reasons I wanted to do the first full month is, even though my AdSense got kind of kicked on in the middle of October, is because there's something called RPM and CPM. So these are the ad rates that AdSense pays you, depending on your niche and how much advertisers are willing to bid to be placed next to your work. So part of why I wanted to give you a full month versus, just taking the 28 days is I wanted to make sure that I had a complete. Sometimes when they do these calculations, they get weird if you're working with partial months. It'll make it sound like you're getting more than you are. So anyway, here is my analytics. I've set it to November 2024 because that is the first full month that I got monetized. It's really funny because sometimes people will say once you get monetized, your views take off. I actually had half as many views my first full month that I was monetized than I did the month before, 47% less. And I got about half as many impressions, 103,000. See, it's 49% less than I did for, October, month of October. My click-through rate was 3.8 and my average view duration was 414. And actually, one of the interesting things about November for me was I also ran an experiment. If you see here, I put out 2 videos on the first of the month. And I put out many, many videos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I put out 18 videos in the month of November. I normally put out 8. I was doing twice weekly posting. That's what I've been doing. Over twice as much posting as I normally did. And my impressions and views went down. I'm actually going to do another video about that in a little bit. But anyway, November was an odd month for me. But you can see, here it is. This right here, November 13th was a Wednesday, was my highest earning. And I made $3.56 on that day. I had another day here that was $3.22 on November 12th. And November 1st was $3.11. So you can see 311, 280, 179, 182, 170, 169, 94 cents, 139, 84 cents, 40 cents, 32 cents, bop up to 322, 356, 142, 196, 98 cents, 154, 57, 133, 58 cents, 49 cents, 191, 118, 48, 12 cents, 120, 29 cents, 21, 185, 146. I had a few days where I made over $3 a day. 356 was my biggest day, Wednesday, November 13th. And the least I made was Monday, November 25th, and I made 12 cents. And overall for the month of October, I made $41.15. So a little over $1 a day. And honestly, I don't feel too bad about it. I had kind of a rough traffic month in November. My months that I've had better were before I was monetized. I did better in October, obviously, but especially in July. And I'll be doing a video about why I think November was a tough month for me. Even though I posted a lot, I'll be putting that out soon too as well. But if you want to see what I made money off, let's see here. Looks like the best video I made $8.28 on was 7 secrets for clickable titles you'll be embarrassed you didn't know. The second best one was easy B-roll for your videos. I made $3.34, and the third best of the month was the YouTube growth formula no one talks about. I made $2.96. Now, one nice thing about these videos is I am still making money off them. This is just what they made when they first came out, and as the channel builds and grows, I will continue making money. That's part of why I'm not horrifically demoralized. I know this is how it goes, and it's easier to build from something than from nothing. I am frankly really happy to have any money coming in. This is my second channel I've monetized. I'll be doing a video on the first 30 days of my other channel, our Moving Castle and RV travel channel. We can compare and contrast, but $41.15. And if you were wondering what I am getting for content creator, so the RPM is what I make per 1,000 views. Another calculation you'll hear a lot is CPM. CPM is for the advertiser, it's what they pay, and YouTube splits that money with creators. We get 55%, YouTube takes 45%. If you want to see the revenue for 1K views for my month was $7.38. If you want to see here, looking through this video, 7 secrets for clickable titles actually got $12.23. The B-roll got $10.55. Let's see if I can find something that had a low RPM, a lower RPM than the rest. How to boost channel engagement, the YouTube community tab. Oh, what about this one? Was $4.46, and then how to get free music that won't get your channel banned was $3.93. So it really depends on what kind of video you're making and how high YouTubers will bid to be next to that. But yeah, the first month that was the 738, 41. 11, that was for 5,574 views. Another thing that can change how much money you're making is whether or not you have mid-roll ads active. So to have mid-roll ads active, you need to have videos that are at least 8 minutes long, and you have to have that enabled. But yep, feeling pretty good about that. That was the first month on the Page Turner channel. I'll be doing an update with 3 months to show how things are growing. So yeah, pretty cool.